next. Okay, I'll share my content. Yeah, is this visible? Yeah, fine. So now we'll discuss 8-bit register. 8-bit in the sense 8 flip-flops we need to have. So here all these are a tri-state buffer we are having. So here this is the diagram for an 8-bit register with a tri-state output. That's it. So these are the inputs. So here the clock has been given the positive edge triggered. So the output based on this enable, it's controlling. So if the enable bit is 0 here, so this is enabled, right? Because inverter output has been connected for all these, means active low enable. Whenever the enable bit is 0, all these buffers are activated. So we are going to get the outputs across these buffers. Whenever the enable bit is high, so this will be 0, means all these are like open circuit. We are going to get the impedance as an output. So will not, all these will be disabled now. This is clear. Only just instead of showing this enable here, yes, somebody told something. Fine. So instead of giving the enable bit connected to the flip-flops here, it's been given to the tri-state buffer as an externally it has been shown there. That's it. So this can be written like this. So a flip-flop with an active low enable. So here you can observe the thick line with a crossed mark. It indicates it's an 8 lines here. So here again, thick lines with a cross marks, it indicates 8. It's a symbolic representation of this register. So this register is of type, so it's not been specified here. You can also specify it's of type D flip-flop. So active low enable 8-bit register here. So this is the symbolic representation of an 8-bit register with tri-state output. Is this clear, this symbolic representation? Instead of representing these 8 flip-flops, we have just represented with one block here. Now, this type of representation, we are going to write it here. So, we have 4 registers at the input. So, A, B, C, D are the 4 registers. Each of these are of 8 bits. And we have 2 registers at the output. And we have a bus. It's been driving these outputs to the next level. So, and we have a decoder here. So this decoder is 2:4 decoder. 2 inputs, 4 outputs. You can observe here the decoder output are active low output. So meaning is, so whenever we provide 0, 0, we are going to get the first as an output. 0, 0 the first bit. 0, 1 the second bit, 1, 0 the third, sorry, 1, 0 the third bit, 1, 1 the fourth bit. So choosing the bit will not differ, but active low output in the sense, suppose I'm getting 1, then I'll be getting the output as 0 in this first bit. So if my output for the first bit is 0, then I'll be getting 1. That is how this active low outputs work. Okay. So this 2:4 decoder is an active low outputs. So these active low outputs of the decoder are connected as an enable bit for all these 4 registers. Again, these are active low enable. Whenever we get this low input, only then this register will activate. Similar to this. So whenever we give 0 input here, so all these will activate. So in the similar way, whenever I give 0 input here, so this register will activate. So if E and F are 0, 0, register A is giving the output. E and F are 0, 1, so register B is giving the output. E and F 1, 0, register C is giving the output. Yes, what happened? Is some unwanted noise? Is it by annoying or what? Fine. So now you understood that based on these two inputs, we are going to choose one of the four registers. So if I'm choosing this by giving this inputs as 0 0, so register A will be activated. So the output of register A is driving to the registers G or H, because I don't have any control here which one to be activated. But if you observe here, clock enable, suppose if my LDG is high, then register G is enabled, the output of this A will be driving to G. If LDH is also high, then this data will be flowing to both of the register based on this LDG and LDH. So this controls whether this register to be activated or deactivated. That's it. Is this clear? Please do respond. Yes. So if both of this are high, I'm going to get the data of A in both of this G and H. If this is high, I'm going to get data only in G. If this is high, I'm going to get data only in H. That's it. If it is 0 0, if it is 1 1, then I'll be getting the data of D into these things based on this clock enable bits. So if the clock is not enabled, this register is deactivated. Be careful with it. So this is what the 8-bit register with a tri-state buffer, and how you can transfer the data from register to another register using this tri-state bus. So here it is buffer, here it is bus, because all these are connected together here, right? Now we have discussed all the registers, serial in, serial out, serial in, parallel out, universal registers, how to work with the tri-state buffers, all these things we have discussed. But where we will use this registers, what is the working we know, when we use this shifting we know, and also we need to know where we are going to make use of this registers or shift registers. So the applications of the shift registers. So with that, the first application is this, the parallel adder with accumulator. You're going to do an addition here. You know what is the meaning of an accumulator? Anybody? Anybody knows what is an accumulator? Fine. None of you? Okay. See, internally, when you all have used your calculators in the laptop or in the desktop, you have used the calculator, right? You have used a calculator in your mobiles. So, but exactly how the working in that, you are not aware of it. When I just provide the number 2 plus 3, the result should be 5. How it is processing all this, where that 2 is, where that 5 is, where to show that result, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, how you are going to do it. So now I'm not talking about the features in the calculator of your mobile or the calculator app in your system. I'm just telling you the logic which has been done in your CPU, Central Processing Unit. We have an ALU there in order to do the computations, right? Any arithmetical operations, logical operations, computations will be done in the ALU. Suppose I have provided 2 data as an input, it has to do the computations on it, it has to get back the result for us. How we can get the results over there? So it has to do additions. So when I want to store the values, so I require register. So here what's happening here, so the input whatever I put will be stored in one register. So suppose that register name, I'll write it some XYZ, that is the register where the input has been stored. Second input I'll be giving, it will be stored in one more register. Now I need to do computation of these two and store the result somewhere. But exactly the computation will not be done something like that. It has been moved on to the registers. There are registers. The number of registers are fixed based on the type of the processor you have. And the capacity of the registers also depends on the processor you have. Suppose if it is a 64-bit processor, all the registers inside that processor is of size 64-bit. If it is a 16-bit processor, you have all the registers of size 16-bit. So that is how the size of the registers and the number of registers inside the processor depends on what type of processor it is. I'm not going to talk in detail about all those. These things you'll be learning in your next semester microprocessor. Okay. Now what I'm talking here is whenever we are doing an addition, subtraction or any computation for that matter, so we have a register called accumulator. Accumulator is a register. So this along with one more register where we have the data, these two will be added together and the result will be stored back again in this accumulator register. So register, you know, it's nothing but a group of flip-flops. So here based on what type of register, that many processors. So here we are talking about n bit. We don't know what is this n. If it is 4-bit, then we have 4 flip-flops. If it is 8 flip-flops. 16 flip-flops. That's the reason it's been given in general n bit. Okay, it's a parallel adder with accumulator. So what is parallel? So simultaneously we are adding. Serial, one after the other we are adding. Okay, we'll discuss that serial also a bit later. So this parallel we are adding, you are using a full adder. And also many of you don't know where this full adder, what is the applications of a full adder. So just tell to add. So this has been used in the ALU in order to do the computation of addition. Not only addition, even the subtraction, it will be done with a full adder. Subtraction is not done with a full subtractor for your kind information. So we are going to take the 2's complement of the number, then you are going to do the addition only. Okay. So now we'll not go for that as well. So we'll just discuss this parallel adder with accumulator, how we are doing. So whatever the explanation so far I've given, just to make you understand what is accumulator and how we are going to do the addition basically in a ALU. So what is the use of a full adder? That's it. But now we'll look into this, how we are going to perform this. So it's an n bit, so n number of flip-flops. So it's a D flip-flop here. Already we have a data in this accumulator. Suppose we'll consider some data for this. So 0, 1, something like that. We have data in it. And one more data additionally we are providing because that has to be added with this data, right? So these n-bit data is there inside the register already. That n-bit data is there in this register Y. So here I am not considered like a register. It's been taken like these n inputs separately. So Y1, Y2, Y3, Yi, it's been given in general. So any number of things. So Y1, Y2, Y3 till this Yn, or these are the n-bit input. These n-bit data is already in the register. Now we need to do addition of this bit with this. So how I am going to do it? Using a full adder. Extract this data and this data. This I'll consider as x1, this y1. These two data will be added along with the carry bit. So once we are adding it, what we get here is sum and carry. Carry has to be moved on to the next cycle, next full adder. So the sum has to be stored back in the accumulator. So that we are putting back to the accumulator. That's how we have connected. So here, if I consider 0, 0 for x1 and y1, carry is 0. So all these put together, it is 0. That 0 is the sum, 0 is the carry. Suppose 1 here, 0 here, carry is 1 suppose. But initially there is no carry, so let us consider 0 only. So 1, 1, 0. 1, 1, 0, sum is 0, carry is 1. So carry has been passed on to the next. Sum 0 and passed on to this. So next again we have some data here that we are extracting. We are adding with the next data along with this carry. We get the result here. S2 and C3. So it's keep on passing it to the next levels. So but now all these D inputs is having the results now, some results. So 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, whatever it is, based on what is the input values, what is the carry which been generated in the previous stage. So now with the application of a clock, all these data has been shifted into the register. Is this clear? Again, here we have a clock enable. Only when this AD signal is high, all these are enabled, otherwise these are disabled. And also the control signal, like clear signal we have. So if the clear bit is 0 only, then this all the flip-flops will reset in this. Otherwise, based on whatever the data we are loading with the application of the clock, that will be loaded into the register. Is this clear? Yeah. So you should know the working of the clock enable. Only when I provide the high input, it enables. Clear? Only when I provide 0 input for this, it will reset the register. Otherwise, it will just store with whatever the value we have. So this is what the parallel add with accumulator. It is one of the application of the register. So you should be prepared for it. So it can be asked in your exam and the test. You should be able to write it. Any doubts you can ask me. Fine. Yeah, next another few applications we'll discuss, but I don't have that in this. I'll just share my phone. Is the screen visible for you? Yeah. See here, this is another application of the shift register where we have a 4-bit sequence generator. So we are generating a sequence. So already it's a 4-bit register. So we have some data in it, 1110. So serially we are inputting and we are extracting the data out of this. So this has been feeded back here. So first time for the first clock pulse, it generates some input 1101. So the next it generates, because this 0 will be fed back here, 0111. Then next 1011. Next 1110. Like that we are going to generate different sequences using this. This is another application of the sequence generator. Now next application, I'll just load it. So this, it's a sequence detector. So in the first application we generated the sequence. So now we are detecting the sequence. Suppose if there are 2 shift registers, each of 4 bits. So we have to detect whether we find the same sequence. Is it matching? Okay. It's a set of, this is fixed. 1010, it is fixed. But here it is serial in, serial out. Here we have a sequence generator. It's keep generating the sequence here. So here we are just trying to find a match whether this sequence has been generated in this or not. How we are going to do that? So extract the output of the first level to an XOR gate, sorry, XNOR gate. What is the truth table of an XNOR? The truth table of an XNOR. Yes. What's the truth table of an XOR? Is the screen visible for you? Yeah. What's the truth table of an XOR? XOR. Yes. Truth table of an XOR is it is 1 when the inputs are different, right? So truth table of an XNOR is it is 1 when the inputs are same. The purpose of using this XNOR here because we need to find whether this matches with this or not. That's our intention. So when this matches with this, our output will be 1. So when the inputs are same, the output will be 1 here. So we are trying to find the match. In this particular, it didn't find a match for the 0, 1 here, 1, 0 here. But here, 1, 1, it find a match, the output here is 1. Here 0, 0, it find a match, the output here is 1. So these two are 1, these two are 0. But all these has been fed to an AND gate. The output of the AND gate will be high only when all of this are high. Right now only two inputs are high, the output will be 0. So when we are getting this Y output is high means we've detected that particular sequence in this sequence generator. So that is another application of an shift registers. Is this clear? Any doubts in it? Okay, the next application which we have already discussed, this accumulator, right? Parallel adder with an accumulator. Now we'll just check that serial adder. So serially how we are going to add that, okay? I'll just add it. Yes, this is serial adder. So how we are going to add this? Earlier what we did, we used accumulator where one of the input has been saved and the final result also saved there. But in the serial adder, we are not using like an accumulator. We have taken two register. So the way of writing the register here looks different. You can write like this or you can write it separate register like this as well. Like I can write the register like this. So these are the 8-bit registers. So I'll be storing the data over here and I'll be extracting the data from this because this the way why it's been written like this, so it will be easy for the students to understand. Okay, the data will be going and storing from here and we are going to extract the data from the LSB. So from the least bit we are extracting the data, from the most bit we are loading the data into the register. So this loading and all those things will be happen only based on the application of the clock. Should never forget that. So here we use only one full adder because in the previous problem it is parallelly we were adding. Now serially we are adding. Only one full adder is fine enough now, and we are using one D flip-flop here. Why this D flip-flop? Because we need a delay in carrying out that the carry which has been generated in the first stage to the next stage. That's the reason we add a delay here. Okay, this is the first register A, the second register B, and the both have been given with a clock. Since it's been specified like this, don't think it's a level, always it will be an edge triggered. Since it is a register, it's not been specified these things. Okay, even for this it is an edge triggered always. Okay, so these are the two registers. The data from the register A, data from the register B has been extracted, and along with the carry which has been generated in the previous stage. So initially it will be 0. These two bits along with this will be added. The sum will move back to the register A. The carry will move to the D flip-flop. So with the application of the clock, So this data has been moved to the next for the full adder, and this carry will move out from this to the Cin. So then we'll add it again, we'll store back this sum, we'll pass on that carry here with the next application of the clock. This data will be loaded in, the data out will be coming out for the full adder, and the carry will be generating out for this. Is this clear? This is serial adder. One by one you are adding all the data in the register. Any doubts in this? Okay. So totally we discussed with 4 applications where serial adder, you should know serial adder, how it's been done, how many full adders we are going to do the connectivity. Parallel adder with accumulator we have done, and sequence generator, sequence detector. You should know generating a sequence, we can generate multiple sequences. So detecting, we are just detecting whether this sequence match with the sequence which has been generated. And next we have another 2 applications. So all these things looks like an applications of a shift register. So what is the similarity between the register and the counter? Can anybody tell me? Is there any similarity between these? Yes or no? I don't remember anything. See here, number of flip-flops connected together in order to store a data is a register. Number of flip-flops connected together where we are going to store one bit of information in the flip-flop that we know. But we are keep upgrading, or it started activated based on the application of the clock. We are keep counting the clock, whether it is 0, 1, all those things, right? So give me a minute. Yeah, is the screen visible for you? Yeah. This shift registers, how we are going to make use as in counters. So this shift register, we know we are shifting the data. So along with just shifting, we have a loop back here. So the output will be feeded back to the serial input. So with that we can able to generate the unique sequences every time. So that is nothing but a counter. So the shift register, there can be the same set of data you will be generating, but whenever we are feed it back the output, so every time we are going to generate the unique sequences. So in this sequence, what we do, we'll give a particular range. Okay, this range to this range, we can able to generate that. That's what called as counters with a particular sequence. So we have already discussed counters starting from 0 to 7, 0 to any count, and also not only that, in between the different states 0, 5, 7, 3, like that also we have done. Now what we are doing, we are feeded back any sequence. We will never bother with what sequence it is, but the output will be feeded back to the input. With that we are going to generate, that is a ring counter and Johnson counter. How we are going to connect the output makes these two different counters. So if I'm connecting the output directly here, so ring counter, you know, it's like a ring. So the whatever the sequence we generate, will generate next and will come back to that and keep repeating it, right? So this is how the circuit is. So we have 4-bit. The output of the last flip-flop will be connected back for the input of the first. So then this is how the sequence are generating in it. It's called as a ring counter. Is this clear? Output of the last stage has been connected to the input of the first flip-flop, will generate the counter sequence that is called as a ring counter. You can write the explanation part for this. You can take 4 inputs 0 0 0 0, then how it's been generating with the next sequence that we can able to write. I don't know whether the truth table is here. Yes, fine. So with the first, suppose with the first sequence, like I generated this data 1 0 0. With the next clock, this has been moved to the next, this to the next, this come back to the first. Now with the next clock, this 0 has been come back here, so this 0 1 0. So with the next we get 0 0 1. With the next we get 1 0 0. So this similar to the one which has been started with. So for every 4 clock cycles, the sequence repeats in a ring counter. Is this clear? For if it is a 4-bit, for every 4 clock pulses, the sequence repeats. So now the next one is Johnson counter, or what's the name there? Twisted ring counter. Okay, I'll not be going in detail about all this. So, but you should be able to write these things. So, suppose if you get a question, normally you will not be getting a question like explain ring counter, because it's not been specified in the syllabus in detail, but the name is there in the syllabus. So, applications of one shift register. Suppose if the question in general application, write the applications of the shift registers, you should know what are all the different applications. So parallel adder with accumulator, serial adder, sequence generator, sequence detector, then ring counter, Johnson counter. These are the applications of the shift registers. So whichever the one you know thoroughly, write it. Okay, based on the marks you decide. And suppose if you get a ring counter, then you need to write what is the ring counter. So the output of the last stage has been fed as an input for the first flip-flop. If it is a 4-bit ring counter, so what is its truth table? So the sequence repeats after 4 clock pulses, and then you can able to write the same sequence, whatever the sequence you've taken, you can able to write the waveform for it and write the explanation part. So the next one is Johnson counter. Johnson counter, or another name is twisted ring counter. So work like a ring counter, but it is twisted. Or else another name for this, please make a note of these names. So it can be asked as well. So Johnson counter, also called as twisted ring counter or switch tail counter. Johnson counter, twisted ring counter, or switch tail counter. So what is the difference here? As the name itself is telling, it works like a ring counter, but it is twisted. The complementary output of the last stage will be fed as an input here. That is the only difference. Complementary output of the last stage will be fed as an input here. Suppose if it is 4 bits, like 4 flip-flops, the sequence repeats after 8 clock pulses. Here it's double. After 8 clock pulses, the sequence repeats here. Yes. But in this, the sequence been written like a different, because mod 6 or something like that, it's been written. So better let me share my screen. Yeah. So in this, we have a counter. Sorry. If it is a 4-bit, okay, there is no change in the intermediate one. There is change only in the last stage. The complementary output has been given. The clock should be given for all of this, okay, because all these are working simultaneously. The clock, you write it internal, okay? This is the clock. Suppose if the sequence is like this is my clock. I'll just name this as Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3. Suppose I'll consider my input is 1000 only. With the first application of the clock, whatever this is the sequence, the next, this is not 10 now, this will be taken complement of this and feed it to the first one. So I'll get 1 here, and this one I'll be getting here. So then 0 0, then again this 1 1 1, then 0, then this becomes 1, all 4 ones now, then now it is 0 1 1 1. This one every time it's shifting here, okay? There is no place for me to write all these in detail. So now this 0 1 1. Now in the next clock 0 1. In the next clock this one will become 0 again. So now in the next clock 1 0 0. So just see now, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. This is the 9th one. So after 8 clock pulses, the sequence repeats. So whatever we get in 1, it repeats after 8 clock pulses. Is this clear? Yeah, this is switch tail counter as well. Switch tail counter, twisted ring counter, Johnson counter. These are the 3 different names for this. So here if it is a 4-bit, the sequence repeats after 8 cycles or 8 clock pulses. If it's a ring counter, if it's a 4-bit, sequence repeats after 4 clock pulses. So that is how this will work with the switch tail counter. Any doubts in the applications of the shift register? Any doubts? Okay. Now we'll discuss with the counter. So in the counter we have already discussed what are the different types of counters? Counters? The different types of counters. Don't tell ring counter, switch tail counter are the different types of counters. Okay, those are the applications of the shift registers. So the different types of counters are synchronous counter, asynchronous counter. So already we discussed about these things. With respect to the lab, you already done an asynchronous counter, that is a decade counter with a given mod. You can able to design it. Even the synchronous counter we have done using the synthesis table. So how you can able to design for any given sequence or any mod. Both of this we have done already, and we have discussed what are the difference between synchronous counter, asynchronous counter. The major difference between this is the clock input. The clock input for the asynchronous will be given like the output of the first stage will be given as a clock for the next stage. Synchronous, the clock is simultaneously given for all the flip-flops, right? Yeah. So now we'll look back again into this asynchronous counter. So another name for this asynchronous counter is ripple counter. Take down this name because it is important. So ripple counter, asynchronous counter or ripple counter. Don't assume that as it is asynchronous counter, should it be only decade counter? Definitely no. Based on how many number of bits we are using, that much of count we can able to design. So I'll just write it 8-bit, not 8-bit, sorry, 8 discrete states. Okay, mod 8. So how we are going to design in an asynchronous? One thing is known for us. The output of the first stage should be given as a clock for the next stage. This is known for us, right? When the output of the first stage is being given for the clock in the next stage, how we are going to extract this? So output will be extracting across all the stages. Okay, output we are extracting across all these stages. So this is our count sequence. The clock for the first stage will be giving. Then what is the input for this? What type of flip-flop I'm using it? So whether I'm using D flip-flop, JK flip-flop, SR flip-flop, T flip-flop. So what the sequence we need? Suppose if it is mod 8, what the sequence we need? What's the sequence of a mod 8? Count sequence of a mod 8. Not even one student know? See, please change yourself. Don't be sitting like this idle. Count sequence of a mod 8. You have done 2 problems on it. Yes? Yes, it counts 0 to 7. So 0 will be representing with 000, 001, 010. So like that you will be having all 111. So with the application of the clock it's been written here positive H. So let me write it as an up arrow for the clock. For the every application of the clock it's working. Otherwise I just need to, instead of representing like this, let me write it the clock 1, clock 2 like that. But still you can write it. This is only for your reference whether the clock is. So what is this clock is? So for this you will be having clock 8. Okay, because 8 times you are going to apply the clock, you are going to get the different sequences of 0 to 7, totally 8. What are these now? So this is the least bit. Okay, this I will take it as Q0, Q1, Q2. This is Q0, Q1, Q2. Be careful when we are writing the counters. The first stage, whatever you have written, that should be the last one. That is the least significant bit. Be careful with it. So now I'll be designing this with the JK flip-flop. So JK, you know how it works? Yes or not? JK. What is the truth table of a JK? Truth table of JK. 0, 0, no change. 1, 1, toggle. 0, 1, reset. 1, 0, set. Right? So now, what is the input for this JK? I'm just giving all this as high. So VCC. So input for all the JK, I'm giving it as high input. Okay. Then how it will work if I give high input for all the JK? Will it not be like I'm not getting the, my output will not be wrong? Because first stage, if you observe here, continuous 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. It should be keep on toggling. When I apply the clock, both are 1, 1. So it will keep on toggling. This will work fine with this Q0. What about the output of Q1? What about the output of Q2? Since J and K is 1, 1 here always. But we are restricting our clock. Got it? Are you able to get my point? Yes. We are restricting our clock there. So when we are restricting our clock, only when the output of the first stage is high, only then whatever the input of the JK, based on that it will work. Otherwise, when there is no clock, what will be the output here? Stay with the same state, right? So when this is 0, there is no change in this, so it stay with the same state. When this is 1, when the clock is high here, so it will change its states to 1. So when this is 1, so because J and K is 1, 1, so it will change its states to 1. Again, because this will become 0 again. So there is no change here, so I'll be getting 1 here. When this will be 1, there will be change in the state, so I'll be getting 0. 0 0 1 1 0 0 1 1, right? So only when this output of the first stage is high, so it's working here with toggle. Otherwise, stay with the same state. What about the output of the last stage now? So if you observe here, it is 0 0. There is no change here, correct? When this is high, it should change there, correct? Yes or no? Are you able to understand this? You are not answering anything. Respond, no? Yeah. So that's how it will work. So I think it's better we'll write a negative edge triggered. So it would be better like the next time. Yeah, it's fine with a positive edge or a negative edge. Fine, no problem. So only when the Q1 output varies, so we are going to get the output in the last stage as toggle. Otherwise, it will stay with the same state there. Okay. So now, so we get the output of this counter. So this is like up counter 0 to 7 it counts. So and I need to design with the down counter. How it can start the down counter? How the down counter should work? No response. Down counter. Yes. Down counter, how it will work? What is the sequence we are going to generate? Okay, fine. Yeah, one more small change in this. See, if I write a positive edge of the clock, there will be a wrong. See, observe here. So this is 0, then 1. 0, 1 means what? This is how the clock is, right? Because this is what we are applying it as a clock for this. 0, 1, 0, 1. So then we'll be having a clock like this because this is your Q0. So initially it was 0, it is 1 here. So 0 to 1 change, then it should work at this point only. So it leads into wrong. So let it work when it is 1 to 0 change. 1 to 0 change means negative edge. Please correct this to negative edge because it will result in wrong otherwise. Make it as negative edge. So now it will work fine. So 1 to 0 change, whenever the clock is changing from 1 to 0, so it's toggling here. So it's working fine now. Now again here 1 here, so 1 to 0 no change. So sorry, yeah, 1 to 0, whenever it is 1 to 0 there will be a change. So now here 0 to 1 change, no difference. 1 to 0 change, there will be a difference because the first 4 bits are 0, then the next 4 bits are 1. So this, because there is very less space, let me erase in the beginning here. See here it is 0 0 0 0 1 0 1 0 0 1 1 1 0 0 1 0 1 1 1 0 1 1, right? Whenever there was a change in the clock like 1 to 0 means the output will be like this. Sorry. So this is your Q naught. So Q naught, I'm sorry for this. So Q naught, when there is, it's changing from 1 to 0. When it's changing from 1 to 0, so it has to work. At this point, the next flip-flop has to toggle. So here it's toggling. So when it's changing from 1 to 0, it's been toggled from 0 to 1. So earlier it was 0 for this complete. Now it's changing at this particular instance of time to 1. And it stay with the same state for 1. And then with the next clock, when this is changing from 1 to 0, it's changing again. For the 2 clock pulses, it has to retain. You got this point? For this one complete cycle, this is 0. When this complete cycle, this is I. Again for this one complete cycle, 0 and 1. So this is your Q1. Q2. Q2 will change only when there is a change in 1 to 0. So 1 to 0 change, it's here. So till here it was 0. Only here it will change to 1. So there is no place for me. Just write here it is 1, here it is 0. This is how it will work. Is this clear? Please do change this to a negative edge, because only when clock changes from 1 to 0, there should be a change in the next flip-flop output. Because always this is 1, 1. You know, when J and K is 1, 1, it is toggling. So now we need to work with a down counter. What is the down counter? Up counter, we know it starts working from 0 to 7. So if it is a down counter, it should work from 7 down to 0. 7 down to 0, how it should work? Now we will not change our circuitry. Only change what we make here is this application of the clock. So instead of giving the clock from this, just provide the clock from the, let us just change this. So from the inverting output or the complementary output, you provide the clock. So we are extracting the output across these. So there is no change in output. So Q0, Q1, Q2 is the output, but the clock you have changed from, instead of Q0, you give it Q0 bar as a clock for the next stage. So how this will work now? Reverse to this. Means whenever the Q is 1, the Q bar is 0, right? So when there is a change in 1 to 0 in the Q bar, the output changes. So 1 to 0 in the Q bar. So we are going to write the sequence like this now. 111, 110, 101, like that, right? When there is a change in the clock from 0 to 1, because 0 to 1 is nothing but 1 to 0. Sorry. Is this clear now? Because 1 to 0 it was working. Now if it is 0 to 1, because it's not a direct Q0 we are considering, we have to consider the complement of this. Complement here is nothing but 1, here is 0. Work similar to this. So when you write the truth table, 111 to 000, observe your truth table. Whenever it is changing from 0 to 1, then your output should be toggling. Can you observe here? 0 to 1 change, your output changes from 1 to 0. Like that, when you find in this stage 0 to 1 change, your output will change in this from 1 to 0 or 0 to 1, whatever it is. Is this clear? Down counter. I'll not be repeating it again. Any doubts you can ask me now only. Asynchronous up counter or down counter, or it can be asked as a ripple counter, 3-bit ripple counter, because 3 bits are used. 4-bit ripple counter, one more stage to be written. 2-bit, only 2 stages